A single dad accepted his boss's swim bet, but he demanded something forbidden. The Miami sun blazed overhead as Marcus Chen stood at the edge of his boss's infinity pool, staring at the crystalline water that seemed to merge with the ocean beyond. His 8-year-old daughter Sophia sat on a lounge chair nearby, her nose buried in a book, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air. "So what do you say, Marcus?" Richard Blackwood leaned back in his chair, a predatory smile playing on his lips. The CEO of Blackwood Technologies was known for his eccentric bets, but this one crossed every line. "One lap across my pool. If you win, I'll give you that promotion to VP of Operations you've been chasing. The one that comes with the corner office, the stock options, and enough money to finally give Sophia the life she deserves." Marcus's jaw tightened. "And if I lose?" "You won't lose. You were a collegiate swimmer." Richard swirled the whiskey in his glass. "But here's the catch, the thing that makes this interesting. You have to bring someone with you. Someone forbidden." "What are you talking about?" Richard gestured toward the beach house next door, where a woman emerged onto the deck. Marcus's breath caught. It was Elena Castellanos, the company's lead investor and board member. She was also his late wife's younger sister, the woman he'd avoided for 3 years because every time he looked at her, he saw his wife's eyes staring back at him.
"Elena?"
Marcus whispered. "You can't be serious." "Dead serious. You swim 1 lap with her. That's it. But here's the forbidden part. Marcus." Richard leaned forward conspiratorially. "You have to admit what you've been denying for 3 years. That you feel something for her. Out loud in front of me. Only then do you get the promotion." Marcus felt his world tilt. The promotion would change everything. Sophia needed braces, a better school, college savings. After his wife Clara's death from cancer, he'd been drowning in medical debt and single parenthood. This opportunity was a lifeline. But Elena was off limits. She was family. She was Clara's sister. And worst of all, Richard was right. Marcus had been fighting his feelings for her since the funeral, when she'd held his hand and promised to help with Sophia. "This is insane," Marcus said. "This is business," Richard countered. "I need my VP to be honest, to take risks, to face uncomfortable truths. So what's it going to be?" 20 minutes later, Marcus found himself standing beside Elena at the pool's edge. She wore a simple black one-piece, her honey blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. Up close she looked like Clara but different, sharper angles, darker eyes, a scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood accident. "I'm sorry Richard dragged you into this," Marcus said quietly. Sophia was inside now, getting ice cream from Richard's chef, blessedly unaware of the adult drama unfolding. Elena turned to him and he saw pain flash across her face. "Did he tell you the full terms?" "What do you mean?" "He made me a bet too, Marcus." Her voice was barely audible. "If I do this swim with you, he'll approve my expansion project in Southeast Asia. It's worth $50 million. It's my career." Marcus felt sick. "He's manipulating both of us." "He's a shark," Elena agreed. "But he knows something we've both been pretending doesn't exist." Their eyes met, and Marcus felt the familiar jolt of electricity he'd been suppressing for years. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, understanding. After Clara died, Elena had been there every week, bringing groceries, reading to Sophia, sitting in comfortable silence with Marcus when words failed. "I loved my sister," Elena said softly. "But I also—" She stopped, shaking her head. "We should just swim. Get this over with." "Wait," Marcus caught her arm. "What were you going to say?" She pulled away, diving into the pool before he could press further. Marcus had no choice but to follow. The water was shockingly cold despite the heat. They swam side by side, neither speaking, just the sound of splashing and breathing. Marcus's competitive instinct kicked in. He'd been a champion swimmer once, before responsibilities and grief had grounded him. But halfway across, something happened. Elena cramped up, her face contorting in pain. Without thinking, Marcus grabbed her, keeping her afloat. She clutched his shoulders, and suddenly they were face to face, treading water, her body pressed against his. "I've got you," he whispered. Marcus, her eyes were wide, vulnerable. I need to tell you something. Before we finish this race, before we go back to pretending, don't. He knew what was coming. Knew it would shatter the careful walls he'd built. I have to. Her fingers tightened on his shoulders. I loved Clara. She was my sister, my best friend. But watching you raise Sophia alone, seeing how much you've sacrificed, how much you love that little girl, her voice broke. I fell in love with you, and I hate myself for it every single day. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the chest. Elena, you don't have to say anything. I know it's wrong. I know I'm a terrible person for feeling this way about my dead sister's husband. But Richard is making me face it. And maybe that's not the worst thing. Tears. Mixed with pool water on her face. Because I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of staying away from Sophia when all I want is to be part of her life. Part of your life. Marcus was drowning, and it had nothing to do with the water. For 3 years he'd been loyal to Clara's memory, convinced that moving on meant betrayal. But Elena wasn't just anyone. She understood his grief because she shared it. She knew Clara's favorite songs, her terrible jokes, her dreams for Sophia. I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of dishonoring Clara. Scared of what people will think. Scared of hurting Sophia. Sophia asks about me, Elena said quietly. Did you know that? Tracer asked Richard's assistant why Aunt Elena doesn't visit anymore. She misses me. That broke something in Marcus. He'd been so focused on protecting himself that he'd isolated Sophia from someone who loved her. Someone who could have been helping shoulder the burden. I miss you too, he whispered. And that terrifies me. They floated there, suspended between past and future, until Richard's voice echoed across the pool. Time's up! Do you forfeit or do you finish? Elena's cramp had subsided. She looked at Marcus questioningly. Together they swam to the far edge, finishing the lap side by side. When they climbed out, dripping and shivering despite the heat, Richard was waiting with towels and that insufferable smirk. Well, he demanded, do you admit it, Marcus? Do you admit what you feel? Marcus looked at Elena, at the hope and fear warring in her expression. Then he thought of Sophia inside, innocent and deserving of all the love she could get. He thought of Clara, who used to tell him that if anything happened to her, she wanted him to be happy again. Yes, he said firmly. I admit it. I have feelings for Elena. I have for a long time, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Richard's smile widened. And Elena? What about your confession? She stepped closer to Marcus, taking his hand. I love him. I love his daughter. And I'm going to fight for a chance at happiness. Even if the world thinks I'm wrong. Richard clapped slowly. Excellent. You both win your bets. Marcus, your VP starting Monday. Elena, your project is approved. He stood preparing to leave. But here's the real lesson. You two, sometimes the most forbidden thing is the most honest. Life's too short to hide from the truth. As Richard walked away, Marcus turned to Elena. He's a manipulative bastard. Yes, she agreed. But he's not wrong. What do we do now? Elena squeezed his hand. We start slow. We talk to Sophia together. We figure out how to honor Clara's memory while building something new. We stop being afraid. I'm still terrified, Marcus admitted. Good. That means it matters. Elena smiled. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus felt hope unfurl in his chest. They walked back to the house hand in hand, ready to face Sophia, ready to face their fears, ready to transform something forbidden into something beautiful. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit the truth, especially when it terrifies you.